No child should ever have to know what it feels like to be beaten, put down, or unloved in this world. It's hard to imagine seeing a child who's been abused or neglected. You have to ask yourself how a person could do this to a poor, helpless child. Sadly, child abuse has become more and more common in the past years. So many stories that you hear of parents who have not only beaten their children, but have starved them, caged them, and kept them from having a normal childhood. More than 5 children die each day just from child abuse alone. A young girl who is the age of 15 in Madison, Wisconsin, was found naked in a street by a passing motorist. The driver thought that she was younger than she looked because she was so malnourished. Police ended up charging her parents with child abuse, child neglect, and child endangerment. This 15-year-old girl, who was kept in a basement of the house, away from everybody and everything, was made to scavenge for food. She would get so desperate she would drink her own urine. There are so many forms of child abuse that can be inflicted on a child. Abusers and their victims are always different. It doesn't matter the size of the victim, there's still going to be abuse. Abusers are not always strangers. Normally they're the parents or the grandparents of the own child. There are different types of abuse that are seen: mental abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. Mental abuse is considered dominating, threats, or demeaning of that child. Physical abuse is another type: beating, hitting, kicking. Starvation or withholding medication is even considered physical abuse. Neglecting the welfare of a child can really go under mental or physical, but is still a type of abuse. Sexual abuse is probably one of the saddest abuses there are. Forcing a child to perform sexual acts is considered child abuse. Even taking pictures of a child who is naked is a form of sexual abuse. And unfortunately, you see a lot of this. The types of abusers can take any form. It isn't always some stranger that is abusing a child. The abuse of a child can be damaging. To believe parents and grandparents are mostly responsible of the harm of a child is unimaginable to me. 18% of child abusers is the child's own father. 30% of a child abuser is the child's mother. 17% of child abusers are non-parental but are considered grandparents along those lines. There are so many ways to help and to prevent child abuse. With the internet, there are tons of different groups that you can locate to help if you know a child is being abused. It is important to not take a blind eye to child abuse. Calling child services in an area that you live in to help report if a child is being abused. This would be considered the police or even DCSF to inform them of a child being abused. You can even call anonymously to let them know of the information that you may have. Educating a child is also very important. Though most abusers are parents, it can be taken upon by teachers or even people in the community to help a child know the difference of what child abuse is and the fact that they do not have to take it. Abuse can happen anytime, anywhere, and by anyone. A child should never know what it's like to be beaten, kicked, called names, or even abandoned or neglected. In conclusion, there are many forms of abuse. Mental, physical, and sexual abuse are three main ways of abuse. Abusers can be anybody: fathers, mothers, and even grandparents. It's not always just strangers. Save a life if you know that a child is being abused. Given the fact that 5 children a day die of child abuse, it is upon people who see the abuse that is happening that they either call child services and help that child, or make sure a child is educated about child abuse. Now, I thought it was very sad because I had just Googled child abuse, and as you can see, there are so many different pictures of different children who are abused, beaten, and bloody. It's a very sad situation that no child should ever have to go through. You need to prevent child abuse, and only people in the community and be aware of what's happening help prevent it. Thank you.